Horman Erky Wren Starkcase had been the head jeweler at Precious Metalworks for nearly a decade now, but he still was not comfortable going to the vault. Unfortunately, he had to make the trek on almost a daily basis. Only department heads and their deputies had permission. Thankfully, his predecessors had the forethought to extend that permission to anyone traveling with the ranking members. Andrea was one of Horman's jewelers. This was her first time assisting him with retrieving resources from the vault, and Horman could not help but notice a tremble in her normally steady hands. Andrea was pushing a cart with several pounds of gold ingots across the worked stone floors of the vault security chamber, and she was desperately trying not to look at the figure floating above her in the corner of the room. Horman was also trying, unsuccessfully, not to look. "Less than a 10-day now, Cleverback," the voice in his head taunted the gnome. Its sickly green-yellow form and frightening smile intruded into his thoughts. Andrea began to whimper softly. He could only imagine what the monster was speaking to her. He wished he was braver, that he could somehow comfort her or make her feel safe, but he knew that there was little he could do in the situation except hurry her along. "I hope you have told your apprentices all that is in your heart, my young friend, because soon I'll be feasting on it," the voice in his head goaded. It was accompanied by laughter. Sick, boisterous laughter. I can't imagine that would taste very good," Horman tried to jest. "What? And here I thought you were a jeweler, little gnome. Is imagination not a requirement for one in your trade?" "Simply vision, I suppose." "Ah!" the voice boomed. "Worry not, then. Soon I will give you an example. Your eyes will witness it firsthand, so that your imagination is not taxed." Horman gulped hard at the thought, and tried not to think on his disgust. Unfortunately, his tormentor would offer him no such respite. "I imagine yours cannot be too large given your comparable body size to the young Andrea here. It would be more like an appetizer, or perhaps a dessert. Just the slightest nibble would pop it like a grape, I am sure." The bulbous monster laughed. "Dessert, then. I did promise to give you an example first, after all. Perhaps I'll use Andrea for such illustrative purposes. Surely her heart is healthy at her age. It will probably squirt as we exhume it from her chest cavity. That is, if we are quick enough to extract it before it stops beating." Horman had to stop himself from gagging at the ideas being transplanted into his mind by the foreign entity. A single tear rolled down his cheek as he managed to stomach, a mix of fear and pain from the swallowing of the expulsion. As he wiped it away, he looked up to find that he and his young apprentice had reached the door to exit the security chamber. Andrea was now fully shaking as she reached for the handle. "Leaving so soon? Well, that is your right, I suppose. And soon it will be mine as well." Andrea and Horman quickly wheeled the cart out and shut the doors behind them. The vault began to lock itself. A mix of mechanical latches and arcane wards to prevent intrusion let off various sounds and flashes as they activated. But even as they did so, they were not fully free from the terrifying presence that remained behind. "I've waited 100 years, Cleverback," the voice said. "I can wait a few more days. I'll be seeing you soon. Very soon."